in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charleston music moments and everything in between. I'm Steve Braxton.
Now I am Mike D. Jackson.
What's up, man? I think you're feeling pretty good. I think that's a WrestleMania shirt. Is that Macho Man Randy Savage?
Yeah, there's Macho Man. Y'all probably can't see the whole thing, but it's Macho Man. There's Roddy Piper, Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart's in here somewhere
Nice.
at the bottom. Yeah, pretty good. It's one of those things where I normally don't buy shirts like this. I bought this like last year and it was cheap, like $7 or $8. And then it matches my shorts. I have like black shorts on that have like a little bit of blue and purple and yellow. I'm like, that's just perfect. It just works out. No, he's not. Jake the Snake's on here. There's another one that's similar to this that had Mr. Perfect. So shout out to Mr. Perfect because I said that RIP to him. So
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of like shirts and things like that, I was thinking about like if we probably won't because we're like I said, we're niche, unless we did something like special or whatever. But I was thinking like merch ideas, and I was like, what would Mike's merch look like? And I think it would just be like a windowsill with the water right next to it. But then you threw me off today because today you got a Gatorade.
So it's one of those things where obviously I always just have a water just because number one of the biggest things I learned when like recording period, like when I first would go into the studio, one of the guys that would record me was like, yo, you want a water? I'm like, not really, I'm good. He's like, it was not necessarily for you being thirsty. It's like just make sure your throat, isn't like scratchy or itchy because that will come out in the vocals. And there's no type of audio effect you could do with that. It's just get a sip of water or something like that just to make sure your voice sounds good. For me, I normally just do the water because if I'm going to be coughing or anything like that, that's crazy. With this, just like having a Gatorade, I have Gatorades, but I'm like, I usually just have a water, but I'm like, you know what? I'll get a water later. So just, it wasn't necessarily to throw people off, just change it up a little bit. That's it. But seriously, you can't really see it, but like right over here, I'm like, let me take the label off because we're not getting paid by them. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't care enough. So
Right.
whatever.
I don't think people are on this pod and they're like, you know what? 20 stocks of Gatorade. They're not doing that. So
Yeah, no, definitely. If anything, they probably would never even notice. And they might be like, yo, you know what? He always does have something like right there.
yeah,
So
that's funny. Today, man, is a first in our podcast history because today is the first time we're doing the second of a series.
but technically it's not, but I'm gonna let you keep going with this because it sounds good. It does
It
sound
sounds
good.
great, actually.
Yes.
But but we're listening to the L word. Okay. It's called the L word, Lust and Love Incomplete. But to make things easier, we're just calling it the L word too.
Yes, sir. The L word too. That's what I've been calling it this whole time. And also, here's my thing. If you look at the cover, you see where it says there, for example, I think it's the same picture from Charles' Attempted Swag because he has that face where he's like that. And you see it's like a black cover, but you see his face, you see the slash slash. That's a 2. So
Right.
it's L word 2. And also there hasn't been any other tape called L word 2, something, something, something to, because you know how some of these companies they'll be like, oh, this is technically the second one that came out, but it's not the second one. This is the prequel to no. L word 2.
Xbox One Series X.
Don't
Xbox, yeah.
don't remind me. Don't remind me. So listen, y'all. Yes, today we are covering the L word 2. This is one of those projects. Y'all are gonna get tired of me saying this, but I think we have one more we have to do. But this project came out July 4th, 2010. One of the 6 projects that came out. But yeah, technically, this is our first episode where we're doing a sequel. There's an asterisk next to that because technically the one episode we did, it was the Winter Rush series where we did 1 and 2 together. So that's why I'm like, it kind of is, but it's kind of not. But I mean, this is like these are separate episodes where we did L Word 1 by itself. Check it out if you haven't. And now we're doing L Word 2 by itself. But yeah,
At most, I'm just 2 as well. If we're going to add that as well. Yeah.
there you go. There you go. But like, if we're doing separate episodes of like, hey, continuations and not just, that
Right.
this is what this is. So
Right. But like I say, this one came out on July 4th, which is crazy to think because as we're recording this, it is the week of July 4th.
That is correct. Coming up this Thursday. So, you got any plans for July 4th? Putting something on the grill for him?
Stay my black ass at home and enjoy my day off.
Lucky you. Unfortunately, I don't have that. And real quick about work, we have one guy that's leaving because he found a better job. So I mean, whatever. But then another guy had to quit because of like personal issues. So we're about to be down some people.
Cool.
So my schedule is going to be fun. I'm gonna be doing probably a little bit more
Yeah.
work. So
I mean, shout out to them though, because they're living my dream, either quitting or being able to just find a new job.
yes and no. Make it real quick. The first guy that's leaving because he found a better job, good for him on that. But at the same time, he was a lazy guy. You know what I mean? Complaining about everything. So it's one of those things where I'm like, good luck to you on that new venture, but like if you're going to be the same way you were there here, I don't know how it's going to work out, but good luck. Hopefully he learned something while he was here at my place or the job we were working at. The other guy, unfortunate situations where like he's an older guy and it's like he has to take some time off because he had some stuff he had to deal with and it's stuff isn't working as it's supposed to. So you know what I mean? It's like because he's a good worker. He was the good worker. He's the one that you didn't want to lose. It's like damn man. So I really hope things work out for him.
Yeah, it seems like that's always how it works. But yeah, Elward too, like I said, July 4th. Do you remember your first time listening to this tape?
Yes. Out of all these tapes that we've been talking about that came out on July 4th, this wasn't the first one I listened to, but it's the one that sticks out in my head the most because of the cover, because of, just the whole tape, like certain songs, where I'm just like, yeah, I definitely remember this. I know like in previous episodes, I'm like, yeah, there's certain songs that got mixed up. No, not this tape. This is, I want to say, out of all the tapes back then, I probably would say this was my favorite. You
Mhm.
know, I'd say back then this is my favorite, but I definitely remember listening to it when it first came out. How about yourself?
Same thing. I think strictly off the title and just what it was following. I think that was probably one of the first ones I listened to. Um, Pretty sure I loved it. I was very excited about the songs and what he did with it. I probably was more upset about the length of it. As pause. The number of songs that are on the tape, more than anything, but not the actual quality of it. So will that stand today? We'll see. But yeah, I was a big fan of it.
Definitely. It's one of those things that's kind of crazy because anytime you're going to label something part two or number two or just the sequel to something, it's going to have that type of, is it going to be as great as the first one? Is it, going to do what it's supposed to do? Especially when the first L Word, it definitely had more than 7 songs. So it's one of those things where, but at the same time, it had like not skits, but certain things that you could be like, that's not really a whatever. But it definitely has a lot of hype to live up to, along with other Charles Hamilton projects that are like that.
Absolutely, man. We're gonna go through the whole thing since it's only 7 songs. We are starting off with Vibration Band-Aids, and like this, I can't remember when he's also done this before, but each title has like a woman associated with the song. I think all of them do. Yes, technically. This one is to Karen Civil.
Yeah. Shout out Karen Civil. I talked about it on one of those previous episodes where, there are some, if you guys have never seen it, I know it's on YouTube still. Like, I think it's like a part 2 or 3 series of like Karen Civil, like interviewing Charles Hamilton. Like they're in the studio just talking about how he got his deal and everything.
Mhm.
He was freestyling in like one of the videos and all that. And I think they had like somewhat of a pretty good relationship. And of course, that thing with Wale happened where she was kind of in the middle of that, but that's neither here or there. With this song, I consider it a decent intro. I know when first going back to this, I was like, I remember this song, but I was like, man, I don't think I like this anymore. I was like, oh man, like I don't remember the tapes starting off like this, but I had to keep listening to it a couple times. And this is why it's important we do these like multiple listens. I figured out what it was. It's not that I don't like the song. I like the song. The intro was cool because it's kind of like starting off slow. Then when the second verse kicks in, you hear the drums and all that. The beat becomes fuller, and I'm like, okay, it's rocking now. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if you just keep the beat like as full as it's supposed to be, quote unquote, then it seems like it's missing something. So it's like it has to be like that. Um, Good verses, hook's pretty cool, nothing crazy. But I think that's why I love more about the beat, when it starts to kick in. At the same time, I know it's needed because, it's one of those things where like sometimes you take something out or you put something in, and it's like, nah, just leave it how it is. But overall, decent intro, but I like the song. It's cool.
Yeah, that builds to the crescendo of that of the drums actually kicking in or whatever. And even when that, I think it's the start of the third verse when everything kind of drops out and then it does the kind of like the starry type of beat into it. And then it drops back in and then it just and that whole jazzy feel at the end of the song, how it just rides out or whatever. Uh all that's needed in the song really ties everything together. I'm with you though. I don't remember this kind of maybe I don't remember this being the intro. I actually don't remember what I thought was the intro to this tape. Because the tape is so loosely put together, I think there's a real portion of that incomplete part of the title of the thing because this doesn't feel like a complete work. It just complete it feels more like a jumbling of songs that just happen to work together. So I guess I don't remember this being the intro. With that said, it is a decent intro. I like the song better as a song rather than an intro. I like the hook. The hook is really fun. Um, yeah, it's a good way to start the tape. Yeah, just don't remember it being the intro, honestly.
Also, one thing, let me not forget. Of course, you guys know Charles Hampton. He's sampling on everything. This project, it's primarily Barry White samples.
Yes.
Shout out to Barry White, R.I.P. Barry. When you're talking about love, relationships, breakups, whatever you want to call it, definitely one of those people you have to put up there. Like he he makes those songs, and also Barry White has that deep bassy voice, where it's just like, especially like obviously not now, but when we were younger, and also our parents, the other generations, you cut that Barry on, it's about to go down. You didn't just put Barry on just to put Barry on.
That's a fact. Barry also infiltrated all types of households. So it wasn't just like even the white chick love Barry. You
Oh
know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah. So yeah, Barry is and he does such a good job of flipping so many songs on here in different ways on his tape. You're just like, damn, he did it again. You know what I'm saying? It felt like that every time he would do it. So it's a great start to the tape. Next up is Starberry? Marberry?
Starburst, Starburst.
Marberry? No, Star Baby. Starring is the quotation, the girl for this one.
Real quick, like you said, sorry, song is called Star Baby, but also not to get confused with Star Baddie.
Yes.
Even though Star Baddie is very recently, what I mean,
Right.
shout out to her. But is this the first thing I had to say? You know what I mean? Because I was like, Star, I'm like, nah, it's Star Baddie now, but Star Baby, completely different,
Yeah.
But go ahead, I'll let you go ahead. I just had to say that.
Um, yeah, don't this is the one I don't need, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one I don't need. It just first off, the beat, everything, it just feels like a lot's going on. It feels like there's too much going on. And then I think this is another one of those ones where headphones are kind of necessary to enjoy this, maybe because of the way the verses are not distorted, but like they're hidden like underneath the beat or whatever. And then you don't really get to hear Charles' voice in its natural state until the hook, right? So it's
Right.
like, and then the verses themselves, which is fine because I write poems too, but it's very poetry based. This is a poem verse. It's not really a rap verse, it's a poem verse, like a bunch of those, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, I don't know. And like I said, there's just too much going on, and it's just hard for me to enjoy it, especially if I want to listen to it like on the speakers and I want to just go through it, just play it just front to back. That's the one that's gonna like fumble. Like I would want to skip this one. You know what I mean?
Understandable. Quick question.
Mhm.
So, of course, like you said, just for you, it's like, hey, it's better probably with, earbuds,
Mhm.
speakers, headphones or something like that. Have you listened to it while under the influence? I'm playing. Charles, don't, playing.
Um,
Hey, you know he's done that to me. You know what I mean? I'm showing love. You know. Nah. On a serious note, this can definitely be considered like hit or miss.
mhm,
And the one thing it made me think about was I see what you mean though, like with the poetry type of thing. Cause I actually have a friend where he does that. He actually, will make songs and like he's not rapping on them. He'll be like, doing his poetry on the songs.
mhm.
And that's just number one. When you're doing any type of music, you have to have the voice for it. If you don't have the voice for it, people will get annoyed, but I just don't like it. Another thing, if you don't pick the right beat for your voice or whatever the case is, people might not like it. I did notice, for the verses, he did like I know Tyler the Creator was like really known for this for a while, where he would like pitch his voice up or down. But that's
Mhm.
more because he wasn't a fan of his own voice. With Charles, I don't think he's ever had an issue with his own voice. I think it's like I said, the Barry White thing. And I feel like this is what he was doing, or that boys the men type thing. On some of them songs, like when you're in a group, R&B group, there's that one person that they sing in the background, and then when it's time for their verse, they do the I didn't mean to hurt you, baby.
Yeah.
It's wrong for, and that's what this whole song sounds like to me. It sounds like it's a song, but it sounds like a long interlude into the next. Like it's
Yeah.
telling a story. You know what I mean? It's one of those type of deals. So for me, I'm actually okay with it because it's one of those things where like it's different, and it's like for me, it's a good difference. It's a change, and it's something that he tried that was different, and sometimes it doesn't work. So for you, you're like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. For me, I'm like, it's different, but it's cool. My only takeaway from it that's like negative, because this reminds me of like some of the older, 90s songs. You know what I mean? So it's like I seen when people do that. He just did it for a whole song, but it would have been nicer maybe if we could have maybe had the vocals bumped up more for the vocals. But that's not my issue. I think it's a little too long. I think that's where my, issue is with it. Cause I was cool with, the first like 3 something minutes of it. And then
Yeah.
when he does the love again, he does that, over and over. I don't mind it in the beginning. At the end, it's like a whole minute and some change of it. And I'm like, I feel like they could have did it for a brief amount of time, faded it out, made the song shorter, and then like it would have been good right there. But that's really only my takeaway from it, where I'm like, it's a little bit longer than it should be. They could have faded it out, made it a little bit shorter. But this is definitely one of those songs where not everyone's gonna like it. That's just what it is. For me, I'm okay with it. It's cool. But I could see this probably being like my least favorite of the tape. But I'm okay with it.
Got it. Next up is Rhythmic. I want to say the name is Sanji.
If that's how it's pronounced.
That's what I'm
Charles,
going for.
Charles, you're good for coming in the pause. Jumping into the comments. I didn't like how that was worded.
Yeah,
You're
that's
good for
great. That was
none of y'all better be coming in comments. Don't even come anywhere. Anyway, Charles, you're good for giving us some explanations on maybe some of the names we do know, but at the same time, there are some star chasers that are new here. So please feel free to
yeah,
break down some information for anybody that doesn't know who some of these people are. I know me and Stick know a good amount of them. Other people don't. So um yeah. I guess I'll tell you how I feel about it. It's funny because I do have a question for you about this. So you
mhm,
know how he starts the song, it's like care to dance,
yeah,
like so I feel like I've asked you this before, but let's say, middle school, high school, when you had dances, were you the type that did you ever do that? Like you go up to a girl, hey, you want to dance? Or what was your approach back in the day?
Oh, dances and First of all, middle school was like the worst years of my life. Let's get that out the way.
Oh, I'm sorry to open up some wounds. I
No,
apologize.
no, it's fine. It's like I just feel like for a lot of people, I think middle school is the worst period of life because like it's that puberty stage and like you really don't, you're still trying to figure out like how things work and shit starts activating randomly. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit, right?
Hey, hey, Stick, can you come up and answer the no.
Nah, I'm cool,
Now.
bro.
Not right now. I can't.
um, but yeah, so like, and it was doubly difficult for me just because like I was like taller than most people, so like I still had that. I'm still trying to come into my body as far as that pause.
We'll say pause.
I'm still trying to come into my own as far as like how my body is like. I'm still gangly or whatever, so I'm still working on that situation. So dances, bro, it's just like I'm there for the music, bro. I know you hate that. You hate the wallflower. Like that's like you hate that, right? But that's just who I was at the time. Just because, like, it was I was in that type of situation. Not that I couldn't get like girls or whatever. It's just like I just dancing was just not the thing. I just at some point it's like, bro, you can't your tall ass don't even be dancing, bro. That's wild. You know what I'm saying? You can't be doing the dances that everybody else doing. You out here looking like a condor and shit, bro. You have to relax. Um, but if I was one of those people, I would not go up to a girl like, "Yo, care to dance?" I'm not doing that bullshit. That's crazy.
So the reason I'm bringing that up because for me, and it's funny because obviously you've seen me on social media talk about like my thing is this. It's not necessarily that I don't like wallflowers. Like I like to do my own thing, and I would say pause. I had to come into my own as well and figure out because I used to be the guy where, believe it or not, like afraid of like rejection. So like it was hard
Yeah.
for me to like go up to girls and ask them to dance. And I used to be like, respectful, like tap them on the shoulder, like, hey, you want to dance? Because I didn't want to be that guy. 'Cause I would hear girls like, oh, I want a guy just grinding up on me unannounced. So I'm like, oh, let me do the nice guy approach. But sometimes that's not what they all really want. It's more of for most girls, as long as you're not ugly, they don't care. If you're ugly, that's when they're like, yeah, don't just grind up on me. So, but it's just interesting because we all had our own awkward moments. But this is what this song reminds me of. It's like starts off kind of awkward, and then like you hear the song, the beat sounds like something that you would hear at like a school dance. So it gave me that type of feeling, like it's awkward, but a welcoming feeling. Because Charles, it sounds like even though this might not be what the song's about, but it sounds like maybe him reminiscing on like a first time, asking her to go to dance or, getting a little bit more intimate. Cause when you are dancing with someone, regardless if you're dirty dancing or not, like it's one-on-one, it's an intimate thing. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where like it kind of puts you into that like idea of like, hey, do you remember your first dance with someone or the first time you got on the floor? All of us get nervous. It's like, I don't want to look dumb. I don't want to look stupid. Interesting. So it's one of those things where some people they're not used to it, but if you like something or not, you can be like, oh, it feels weird, but I like this, and I hope I get to experience more of this because there's some people that have fallen in love on the dance floor, and then they got to realize, hey man, it's just a dance. It's not that you gotta lighten up a little bit, But it's an interesting take on the song. Like I like the song overall though. Similar to having butterflies, like it's that thing of like you're nervous, anxious, but it's like that first time thing which could be always done wrong. Because you know how people talk about J. Cole and they bring up what song is it that we talk about his first time, doing it.
Rain.
Everyone's just like,
Hate that fucking song.
yeah, there's a lot of people that hate that song, but I think with this is more of a innocent approach to it. You know what I mean? So
This is a PG version.
yeah,
I love this song. I like the beat and the rhythm of my heart. Boom, 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 boom. I think that's cool, and that is what dancing kind of is, right? It's just like I said, it's an intimate moment between two people, and it's not to the extent of like love, right? Like it can happen that way. I'm sure. Sure, it's happened to people before, but it is like two heartbeats, like dancing in rhythm. Hopefully, and in sync or whatever. But yeah, Charles does a great job. It does feel very uh not middle school dance, but like dances, like formal dance type. Because like care to dance and like you can kind of see the way the beat goes and where everything goes. It just feels like Charles and whoever is dancing together as the song goes on or whatever. Uh, gets real nasty at the third verse. Goes beyond the bed, the dance floor after that. But other than that, man, I love the song. It's a really good song. It's one of the songs that I loved from the very beginning when I first listened to this. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, you said something about grinding on. You weren't grinding in middle school, were you? They were letting you do that in middle school?
they weren't letting us do it, but okay. So let me explain something real quick. All right, so this is the wild thing, right? So not to bring up the song wild thing, but no, here's the crazy thing. So I remember fifth and sixth grade, when we were in middle school then, that type of grinding wasn't happening. Like they were called dance socials, but like no one was really dancing. Kids we're running around just
Right.
playing
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff like that. I remember the only time people really danced was like, oh, I remember, was it Who Let the Dogs Out? That
But I don't. Yo, I
song.
swear to God, as soon as you said, I know what song like it's coming behind me. I knew it.
Dog, that I remember we were all hyped, 10 years old, 11 years old, just going crazy for that song. I don't know why, but
That shit went platinum on Nickelodeon.
diamond. That went diamond, bro. Nah, but oh, that song, and then what was it? Hey Now by Smash Mouth.
Yeah,
That song, yo, those two songs,
yeah,
man. No, but fifth and sixth grade, we're all just like running around and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. I do remember not knowing how to do like the booty call and dances like that because like no one necessarily taught me. I was too young and like not really, paying attention at like uh the family functions and all that type of stuff. So I remember I basically learned the booty call and all those dances at my school dances. So I'm like, and literally no one was teaching me. I just like sat there and watched people like, okay, you gotta spin, you got. I remember like I was like, yo, I think I got it. And then I got it. I'm like, oh my, yo, I'm so hyped. So
yeah,
look, we get to seventh and eighth grade. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to do the booty call and all those dances and whatnot. That's when the dancing changed. I don't know. I just didn't get the memo, right? I did not get the memo. I remember I get into the school dance, and these are actually dances.
yeah,
First song came on, Mystical Shake Your Ass. Girls was grinding and everything. I'm like, what happened between sixth and seventh grade? We
yeah.
weren't even doing that. And then I'm like, yo, I want to do that. But I'm like, how does come up to it and dance with a girl? Like that's crazy. I'm like, man, I used to the thing I used to do, like I said, so I get when people do it, I used to hover. And I'm like, you can't do that. You can't just be behind them like,
Yeah.
nah, bro, you gotta either hop on or hop off, bro. Like just nah. So we weren't supposed to be doing that. Trust me, teachers was going around, nope,
It's the
stop
old
that.
separator. Yep.
Yeah. So, and I will say this, being 13 back then, yo, let us dance like that. Why are you now you're older? You're like, yeah, that is nasty. That's nasty. Seeing some 13-year-olds dance like that. Nah, nah.
They tried. Be fair, I mean, I feel like we're way better than this current generation. This current generation, why?
So the funny thing, I've seen this on Instagram, right? What I've seen is that apparently some of the kids don't even like dance like that. Like they're just like in their own vibe, just like they kind of like bopping their head to music. They're like just not really dancing. They just kind of stand around. And the worst part is some people are like, yo, like y'all don't grind or nothing. And it's not that they want to see that, but it's just like it's a culture shock, I guess, because we're like, I guess it's just gonna be like that. And they're just like, nah, just they just be like bobbing their head, like not really like if anything, they're just more mad kids aren't dancing now. They're just like standing there. Like I guess like it doesn't help there's no group dances anymore, you know? Like the last time I really remember like a group dance was like this is us in college, like Cupid Shuffle and stuff like that, So like with them, they need to bring back some group dances or something for them.
And also, why would they need to do that when these kids are doing way more at our at what we were doing at our age? Like
Even
it,
younger.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like they're like, who gives a fuck about grinding when I'm, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's an adult conversation for another day, bro. I'm yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Song that we talked about a lot on here. Someladywebsite.com, man. Jessica.
So I'll take the more I talk about it compared to you talking about it, but more of me. So that's hey, y'all already know if you don't know my favorite song from the tape. Period. I'm just gonna say it now. Was then, still now. This is definitely. I had to think about it, right? Cause I was gonna say this might be a top 5 song for me, but I'm like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's like 6 or 7. But I'm like,
Yeah.
nah. I'm gonna say it. This is a top 5 song for me. For me,
Okay.
definitely a top 5 song for me. Um, that song on the tape, it captures like love and lust perfectly, in my opinion. Just meeting someone and wanting to take it, as far as possible. It's funny, I'm not going to expose the whole story, it's not my business, but Charles did tell me because I actually asked him about it like a while ago. Excuse me. I asked him about the song, and then he kind of gave me like the details about Jessica and whatnot. Because I was just like, what happened with that? He was like, oh, it was she's cool people, so, you know what I mean. So like, shout out to her for helping him, make the song possible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean. But the one thing I will say, I definitely learned what Je ne sais quoi was because of Charles. Like, and near the end of the song where he says that, because I've heard it before, but I just never. I'm like, what is that? And
Yeah.
it's basically saying like you don't know. It's something that you like about someone that, but you're not sure exactly what it was. It's like on the tip of your tongue or on your finger, but you just can't. It's right there, but you just don't know. But it's something you really like about somebody. And also, two really great verses. The chorus catchy as hell, And then the third verse, I guess you would call it, it's him talking. And it's one of those things where like Charles does this sometimes, but like I think he did it perfect on this, where he's kind of just explaining like, we might should keep our distance. At the same time, me and you was, going about it this way and that way, and you look the way you look, and I couldn't help myself, and I really wanted to. And while he's talking, Hook comes in eventually, after like the 16 bars, and then he's just like, yo, like all I gotta do is keep it 100. I, not that I was lying, but I was, being a little bit more forward than, and then he's just like, whatever, because obviously it's one of those things where like it kind of ends bittersweet because you kind of have like a thing where it's like it sounds like a love thing, but it's like, okay, there might be somebody else involved. Like, maybe like he wasn't, like you said, he wasn't completely honest, and there's somebody else she might have caught him with, and he didn't really tell her the whole story. And like he says, I should have known better, like but it's one of those things where that's part of that lust thing. Like maybe he's not in love with this girl or the other one, but he's getting caught up. But it definitely dope song, my favorite. Real amazing song.
Could feel then, and as if then was still now, I got spotted. The rapper and the blogger, what a hot topic. So bopped, you got taller, took you home, topped you off in the halls of my apartment complex. Up under your skirt, you wanted it first, but 100, you wasn't the first or the only, you knew it too. That's why I leave you alone. Proof that it was truth when I said you're really good in bed, but don't feel like a slut. You should be feeling good instead. Music bed,
It's up there, man. It's a really, really, really good song. Just the concept of just, I want to tell you something, but not so I'm just gonna write a comment on your blog. Like that's a timepiece type of situation for like us. Like, blogs they're still available, but like they were at a peak at the time that, he made this song. So it's like that's how we communicate, the rapper and the blogger, what a hot topic. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I communicate with you. I communicate on your level, your playing level, you know what I'm saying? Your level, your playing field or whatever. Like I said, the verses are fire. That third verse, the bridge, and what a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Like all that's great. Um, yeah, Charles does a great job of just love songs, man. We talk about it all the time. Like, if you want a classic Charles Hamilton song, just have him talk about love. It's 9 times out of 10 gonna be great. And he does a great job with this one, man. Yeah, there's really not much you can say about this one. It's just it's a really, really good song.
Yeah, this is one of the songs where I definitely would tell y'all, like, if you've never heard the song before, like, there's certain songs where I'm like, this is really great song, y'all need to check it out. But this is definitely one of the you need to listen to this. You need to. It's dire, important, very important. If I find someone that's just like, yo, I don't like it, I'm not gonna be mad. I'd probably just be more disappointed, like, man. Damn. So
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to understand
me
because
either.
it's I feel like it's relatable though, bro. Because it's like you say, it's a song about a girl that you mess with, that you kind of wanted to have a relationship with, like because of your lack of honesty or your of the way the situation ended up, things just didn't turn out the way you wanted them to. You know what I'm saying? But when the mind and the body connect us like we did,
Yeah.
I'll let you fill in the blanks later.
And then also, like we talked about on the last song, rhythmic. About when you're dancing with someone, it's intimate. Technically, with a blog thing, that's intimate too, because not everybody was on blogs. Since everyone's not on blogs, you might know exactly who that person is. Everybody else could be like, I wonder who that is. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those type of things where like it's intimate in its own way as well. Just leaving a comment or just it's kind of like, hey, I know what you said and I seen it, and especially back then, not everyone was going on blogs or writing stuff like that. So it's like, hey, this is my way. I want to express myself to you personally, because even if everyone else sees it, they don't know what I'm talking about. Though. So if you know, you know.
It was like a public DM basically. Because
Oh
I
yeah.
know you know what I'm talking about. I know what you're talking about. Everybody just needs to see the comment. That's all. Next up is How to Be a Better Girlfriend, Rihanna. Now I will say that before when I first listened to this, I was like, didn't really register on my list or anything that I would listen to. I don't know when it happened when I came back to listen to this tape before we did the review, but I love this song. I would say that this is probably my favorite song on the tape. Because that again, that beat, that sample flip, these verses are crazy. That hook is amazing. Um, three great verses. That third verse is something magical to me. He does a great job at just yeah, that third verse is crazy. Because what does he say? He says,
Why you always gotta push it to the limit? Looking for the finish line, but never in your right mind. I heard you when you asked before. You gave me 3 wishes, and on number 1, I asked for more. You acting like I asked for war. I asked to hit it raw. What the hell you so backwards for? Now you wanna crack my jaw. Girl, go fasten your bra. Get dressed, we got stuff to do. I act oblivious just to fuck with you. Sit calm and enjoy this shit calm.
but like that whole verse is nuts. Yeah, Charles, and at this point I thought he was done with Rihanna. Not done, but like, he'd already did like the awkward tape or whatever. But she just and for it to be titled "How to Be a Better Girlfriend," but be dedicated to Rihanna's kind of weird. But it's a great song overall too.
Yeah. Speaking of that third verse, I remember because he said something else where he was like, telling him to sit back and said, cook a family dinner with it. I was just laughing about that because he said, I told you get it in a minute,
Yeah,
And it's one of those things where, how it sounded to me like he was talking about, being in like a stable relationship. And it's one of those things where, of course, marriage, relationship, whatever you want to call it, like everyone has their own ups and downs. And it's one of those things where it's like, hey, like, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. But that's one of those things like you got to talk to your partner about it, your spouse or whoever, say, hey, like, the things are good right now, but we could always work on this. This is what I think you should work on, vice versa. Tell me what you think I should work on. And it's interesting because imagine just for example, you telling your girl, like, yo, you being a little childish, cook a family dinner with it. Or imagine him saying, yo, cook a kid's cuisine with it, you know what I mean, for the kids. Cause you're a little bit childish. You can't even cook a family dinner. Cook a kid's cuisine. You feel me? Nah, but this song just sounds like to me like, of course, we've talked about Charles's relationships in his career, in his life, where music always comes first, but sometimes love either makes or breaks it, and it's one of those things where, of course, Charles would want to be in a stable relationship. Just he's had his own problems with that, but this sounds like an alternate universe of like, hey, what if he's able to find the right woman, be stable with her, be faithful, whatever the case is, and just create that happy family. You know what I mean? So it's just like, of course, we got our stuff we got to work on, but it's funny you say at first when you heard this, you were like, because in my notes, I had to change some things up. When I first heard it again, I was like, I'm not really feeling this either, listen to it a couple more times, and I'm just like, yeah, I like this more, just the hook definitely brought me in the I need a convo. Like I just originally I was just like, it's but no, I definitely like it a little bit more now. It's definitely a little bit higher compared to what I had it as before, but good song overall.
Feeling all alone on an empty bed. You the only thought in my empty head. There you go. I need a combo. I need a combo. I need a combo. I need a combo. Be a little more than a therapist. Be my lady. That's all I want you to be.
You never let me down.
be a little more than my therapist. Be my lady. That's all I want you to be. That's just that's a good line, a good picture being painted right there with that hook, man. So yeah, overall, just a really good song for me. Next up is Bigger Ego, Shorter Tolerance. Beyonce. This is from that very popular song at the time, Ego, that was out at the time. What do you think about this one?
This song, of course, you pick up on it. It's like, okay, he's doing his own little version of Ego by Beyonce. Number one, when that song first came out, I'm like, okay, Beyonce definitely has a hit with this one. You know what I mean? Beyonce has a bunch of hits, and it's one of those things where I know with this song, a lot of girls. I mean, I think honestly, anytime like 2008, 2009, like Beyonce had like, I think the album was like B-Day or something like that. She had like 7 songs on the radio. I might be gassing it, but at least like 4 or 5
Yeah.
out all at the same time, or maybe one was fading out, just another one coming in. You feel me? So I'm like, damn, like Beyonce was going crazy, and that song is cool. I do remember just some of those songs just getting overplayed, but that's part of the success of music. You need your music to get overplayed like that where people get tired of it, because that's when you have a bona fide hit. And then also I remember Kanye, I think he's on the remix.
Yep.
Ego, that I think Wayne rapped on the beat too. Wayne did his own freestyle to it. Um Charles's version is cool, you know what I mean? Because like where it's coming from, but it's just so different.
Yeah.
And Charles, it's funny because we always talk about how Charles has had songs about Rihanna, dedicated to Rihanna. I don't think we talk enough about the songs he has maybe dedicated to Beyonce, or inspired by Beyonce, whatever you want to call it. But it's an interesting song. The hook's definitely memorable because the whole ego, that whole thing, like the original. I'm okay with the song. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I had this maybe a little bit higher, but I think the two songs originally I had that were like lower when I first was like, this tape, I'm not feeling those songs as much. I think this song, Bigger Ego, has dropped down lower to that level and boosted those other songs up, because overall the song is fine. I think I'm just when I think about this song now, it's like it just reminds me of Ego and all those songs. I'm like, man, like it's a good song overall, but just how overhyped those songs were. Not saying this song is not saying the song is overhyped, but it's like it's cool. Overall, it's fine. It's all right.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying as far as it like dropping down a little bit further, as far as like the songs that, if we were to rank the songs, right? Um, I think back then it's like you listen to, say, oh, this would be fun to listen to at a party, or this is fun to, depending on where you are, like especially like in a party mood or like college mood, this is a great song to play. I think now we kind of listen to not necessarily to be in that type of atmosphere, but just like musically, what do we like to listen to? And not a bad song still a good song to listen to. I think it's one of those ones like every now and again song. You know what I'm saying? Versus, oh, I would like to hear this other song all the time if I could, right? Um, Good verses. Charles is funny on this song. He he has his own kind of pause moment. I think it's the second verse. Where it's like, whoa, 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 and
Yeah.
brings it back just to say it again anyway, so it doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, it's a good song. He does like the little singing thing at the in the third verse or whatever, kind of tied into the Beyonce thing. And you're right, he does have a lot of songs that are, you know, either dedicated or inspired by Beyonce. Um, Going as far back as ringtone rap when he did the flip of
Single ladies.
thank you. Um, and to be fair, Charles actually met Beyonce, so
Don't forget that. I think that was like a super win in StarChaser's books, where like I can't even remember where I was at when I saw that. It's like, oh yeah, Charles like met Beyonce, took a picture with her and all that. Because in my head, I'm like, you know, Beyonce has always been a big superstar. And of course, Charles, being on Republic and being on label, that's still one of those things where like at that time, like for them to have met and cross paths and be like, hey, because that's one of the things where like, no matter who you are, like there's certain artists or celebrities, you're gonna be like, I don't care if I sound like a fan or not. Hey, can I get a picture with you? And then you get to get a picture, and like it's dope. That's definitely a dope thing, especially I don't know how much of Charles's music Beyonce has heard, but it's just one of those things where like it's like my boy, he's doing his thing, definitely taking pictures with Beyonce. Now, if that was Rihanna, he took a picture with, man, I think the internet would have exploded. So
StarChaser would have came from under all types of roads, like roaches. We were like, "Oh, it's our boy! He did it!" We would have been hyped, boy. God damn. But still winning in the book, man. So that was still dope to see. Um, it does end the tape with Superwoman, Fantasy Lady. So not dedicated necessarily to a specific person, but maybe the perfect person, right? Your fantasy, like the person that you would like. This is the perfect woman. This is who I envision or whatever. Um, I always do this if I feel like it warrants it. I think objectively speaking, this is probably the best song on the tape. I think it encapsulates kind of everything that the other songs were doing and does it all in one song. I might like. I mean, like a song more. I want to hear a song more. Like I have a favorite, but I think this is probably the best one. Um, I think this is something you can play for. And I can't remember if we put this on our playlist, did we?
We did. We definitely did because it was between this and some lady's website where you're
Uh,
like, we won't
yeah.
put Jessica on there because it has a name, and then you're like, let's do something that doesn't necessarily put names on there. So this is the one we actually put on our love playlist for CH songs. So if you guys have not seen that or heard that, it's in the playlist. We have two playlists currently as you guys are probably watching this. So definitely check out both playlists, but especially the love one.
Yeah. But this is just a good song you can kind of play for like that special person, especially if you like, you feel like you're in love, right? It's a great song. Charles does a great job with the verses. Charles, great hook. Like I said, it's kind of like the perfect love song to kind of end the tape too, because again, it's hard to call it an outro just because it feels so incomplete. Like it doesn't feel like a put together album. Like I said, it's incomplete, obviously in the name. But if we treat it like an outro, it's a great outro. Yeah, I think it's a really good song.
Totally agree. Really good song. Catchy hook, has a good feel to it, and I feel like it's a really good outro. It's one of those things where like I know like near the end of the song he does the whole damn because like you think of like we all have our own fantasy person or like what we would think of like okay, this would be my perfect person.
Yeah,
And sometimes it's not all about looks. It's like could be a personality thing, attributes that someone has, like someone that works perfectly well for you because obviously you're married, but um your perfect person in your head that you might have had in your head is not the same person I'm going to have in my head, vice versa. Everyone's going to be different of who their perfect person is going to be or their fantasy person. So it's interesting, because we all can relate to that, just saying, "Oh, this is my fantasy person," or that, and it's really good. It's a really good song. It's definitely something that people have to check out, and it's one of those things where it kind of reminds me of like how it ends because it kind of fades out slowly. It's one of those things where like we all daydream, and when you dream about that certain person, and then you kind of like wake up or you kind of like look around like, oh, what just happened? It gives me that type of feeling like, oh man, like I was dozing off, I was dreaming again about that fantasy person. It's like one of those like to be continued type of feelings. Like, one day I'll meet them, or when people make a scenario up in their head, like there's that person that they might go to work with or went to school with, whatever. Like, oh, that's my fantasy person. And then
yeah,
you think about having a whole life with them. Then you wake up, it's like, tis a dream. And then you're like, maybe one day I'll get the courage to, take that step. But until then, so overall, really good song.
yeah. Don't date your coworkers. I don't. I would not suggest that. I
Oh
would.
no, no, no. I don't personally. I don't want to. I would never personally do it because I can see how bad that can turn out, and I'm like, listen, most jobs I don't want to come to work to. So if you're there and I don't like you now, either you got to go or I got to go, and I'm not going. So you probably have to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? So
Um, Question. Can you name? Because this is like I said, we said it's like a sequel. It's like the second of a first thing that's classic, right? We see the L word is kind of like a classic. A lot of people love the L word. Um, can you name 5 sequels? It could be in any genre, right? Any medium. So TV, movie, video game, any 5 sequels that you would say the second one ended up being better than the first one, in your opinion.
in my opinion,
Because it's a hard thing to do. Like a lot of people don't always like that second thing more than the first.
yeah. It's definitely some things I could name. I'll try to like kind of spruce it up and make it a little bit different, not to make it the same thing. Because if we're talking about video games, I could have easily did like it's a lot easier. Because number one, Sonic 2 definitely better than Sonic 1.
That's
Street
correct.
Fighter 2 definitely better than Street Fighter 1.
Correct.
Totally better than Street Fighter 1. But I will say this: between those two things, well, actually, here's another one: Streets of Rage 2 definitely better than the first Streets of Rage. But I will say this: in those situations, if you don't have the first one, you can't build on the second one. You still need that first one, and
Right.
that's how it's supposed to be. The first one's supposed to be good, build your foundation. rough around the edges. So when you get to that second one, it's really polished.
Yeah.
You know, um, what's something else I could do? I wouldn't say necessarily TV shows because usually, with TV shows, it's like a reboot, and then sometimes a reboot's definitely not better than the other. Let's say if we're talking about movies, I'd probably say something like, let's say for example, Too Fast, Too Furious. I'd say that I like that better than the first one. Friday. I personally, first Friday, favorite movie. I would say the second Friday is probably a lot more funnier than the first one, but still, for me, Friday, all time, favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
Rush Hour 2,
Absolutely.
yeah, stuff like that. You said video games, movies, TV shows, I don't know about. I don't know. A lot of times it could be just like certain inventions, certain toys, or sometimes even better. But you know, I'm not going to go through all that. It's a bunch of stuff that I can think of that's better than the others. But those are some of my examples. So, what about you? Anything in your mind that like you're like the second is better? Objectively.
You said a lot of mine. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the first one that popped in my head. Rush Hour 2 was the next one that popped in my head. Uh, Uncharted 2, definitely better than the first one. For my book people out there, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the second book of the Narnia series, better
Okay.
than the first one. Um, hmm, that's tough.
I got one for you. Not to cut you off. I got one
Yeah,
for
go
you.
ahead.
So, this is so with us, I feel like we're more qualified to talk about it. Now, I haven't watched it yet, and you haven't spoiled it or ruined it for me, so don't worry about it.
Sure.
But let's say, for example, for us, the classic X-Men cartoon, and then they had X-Men '97.
Yeah.
For you, would you be like, is it more the nostalgia thing where you're like, nah, the original, you know what I mean? It's right there, or would you say, hey, they did the '97 a little bit better than the original? Well, what about that?
So the only reason, my first reaction is I wouldn't call it a sequel. I would call it a continuation, only because it's hard to call it a sequel because like it is picking you right back up into the next thing.
Right.
Whereas like your Sonic 2 was a sequel, right? But like it wasn't like a continuation per se in a way. But I will tell you, they did do it justice. X-Men '97,
Yeah.
one of the best things that's come out this year. Maybe the best show has come out this year, and I will put a stamp on that. Yeah, yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of examples uh, where the second one. It's just rare that it does happen.
If I remember, especially in music terms, they usually call it the sophomore's curse. Even if it's
Yeah,
not like a part two, usually, let's say when an artist comes out with their first album, sometimes the second album just doesn't do as well. So even if we're not talking about, oh, this is the part two to whatever, like what I just saw recently was Lloyd Banks' Hunger for More. I think it just turned like 20 years old recently, which is crazy. It's like, man, that did come out in 2004.
yeah.
That album's a classic. You know what I mean? Period. I don't care what nobody says. But at the same time, though, if anyone has heard Hunger for More too, it's a good album. But for that one, I'm like, nah, the first one is definitely the one. You know what I mean? So it's definitely it's not impossible, but when you do such a great job for the first one, you have so many expectations on your second one to make sure you try and knock it out the park.
My fifth one would be Rey Mysterio Jr. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Rey Mysterio Jr. Shout out to him, still wrestling at 40, and still doing wild shit. Shout out to my man.
He's been wrestling for technically, I want to say, not professionally, quote unquote, but like just wrestling, period. I want to say as long as we've been alive. I think he started his career in '89, like legit.
No, it's nuts.
And he was like, I think he was like 13 or something like that.
Yeah,
He was like 13, like wrestling. You know what I mean? So I do know that with him, obviously you have to rehab yourself. So, the older you get, and also some of for you to be wrestling full time too. That's another thing. Full time wrestling. Like he's
yeah,
not on no. He might be like a little bit on a lower full time schedule. He's not part time though. He's not doing like
right.
what The Rock and some of these other people are doing. It's like nah, he's there for the most part.
Shout out to my man, bro. Ever
Yes,
since
sir.
WCW days for me. But we just listened to the L Word 2, man. Let us know what you're gonna give as far as review, pros, cons, and what rating are you going to give it today, man?
Of course. So you made a really good point. This tape definitely shorter, and it's not that Charles has never done short tapes before. It's one of those things, especially around this time, around this 2010 era, even 2009, where like some of the shorter projects were like 9, 10 songs. This is 7, and you've said it multiple times on here. When you don't have that many songs on here, you can't afford to miss even like a single song. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like that. You might be lucky if you miss on one and then the other songs really boosted up. But if you end up missing like half the tape, you know what I mean? If 3 or 4 of the songs aren't really that good, that's going to be a real thing of like, man, I don't want to listen to this tape. I just want to listen to these 3 or 4 songs. I think overall, for me, I think overall these songs are all good. They're all good. They range from good to great. Some are better than others. Of course, this tape might not be for everybody, just because I said it's so short. And if anything, you can just playlist certain things. For me, if this is where my bias is going to come in, but I'll be realistic.
Yeah.
If someladieswebsite.com was on here 7 times and that was the whole tape, this would get a supersonic. I'm not even gonna lie. This would get a supersonic because my issue with this tape is that, I like the song on here. When I get to that song, I keep replaying it multiple times.
Yeah.
So for me, it's hard for me to, to get through the whole tape sometimes because like I'll play this song like 4 or 5 times. Like no joke. Like I'll play it over and over and over again. But it's not like that. We got 7, good songs on here and some, like I said, better than others. Overall, I think it's a really good tape. Objectively, probably the first tape might be better just because there's more songs and, a little bit more of a variety. For me, some lady's website is better than the first or not awkward, but L Word one. I'm sorry. Song's the greatest song of all time. It's the greatest song of all time.
Okay.
But listen, rating this tape, it's a good tape. At first, I was a little iffy about it because some of the songs, but I came back around. I'm like, I was about to like stun on this tape. I'm like, nah, it's a really good tape. I'll give it base Sonic. So really good tape. It is short, but overall, a good collection of songs, even if it is a short tape. So
Yeah, I kind of tipped my hand. I think that's what it tip my hat, tip my hand, whatever it is.
tip my hat.
Yeah, I think it's tip my hat. When I asked the question about the sequel being better than the first one, I'm gonna be honest, man. Even with this limited number of songs, and even with me not necessarily liking Star Baby, there's still 6 really, really, really good songs here to me that I wouldn't mind. Like you take Star Baby out, I think it's really perfect. But then again, that incompleteness is it it plays into why I'm kind of upset about it not being longer. 'Cause I feel like you could have spaced it out maybe with some interludes or like some smaller skit songs. Um, but it also kind of plays into the title, like this is incomplete. This is like a incomplete thought process of like love and lust or whatever. Fleeting memories of lust. Like all the songs are, I think they're all over 4 minutes. So like lust is like that, where it's like you can be, you can like somebody for like a little bit, and it's like nah, I'm over it. And a lot of those songs, like a lot of relationships don't last, and then it ends perfectly with I would like to be with my fantasy girl, right? I love the L word. We've talked about it. It was. I think it was one of the most highly requested episodes. I think it was one of the highly viewed episodes. I think we rated it pretty high. I can't remember what we rated it, but it was high, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, man. I think this collection of songs is better than that one.
I respect that because, like I said, for me, I gravitate more towards this tape because of that one song.
Yeah.
But if I was being objective and trying to not be biased, I
Right.
think most people would say the first one is better. But for me, I'm like, I think I'm rocking more with the second one, even though it is shorter, just because.
I can see, I get it. That first one's iconic. I just think like this one, I just think may have a better collection in itself. And for that reason, I am gonna give it a supersonic today.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna give it a supersonic today. I thought about it today when I played it again. I was like, other than Star Baby, bro, I really like everything here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not that I didn't like that with L Word, but there was somewhere I was like, I don't need it. You know,
Yeah.
I could remove it, but this is just like hit after hit, right? So yeah, I'm going supersonic today.
Oh, and it's one of those things where I was thinking about it. If he would have put, let's say, 2 or 3 more songs on here, you know, that could affect it too. Because
Yep.
imagine if we were like, hey, put 3 more songs on here, put 2 more songs on here. And then he puts 2 more songs on here, and then they don't even match up or they're not really that great. And then that just bogs it down even more. So we talked about that before too. Do you add more songs or do you leave it how it is? Because sometimes it's just better to leave it how it is. Like you said, love and less. Sometimes you don't get that complete story. You don't get that quote unquote happy ending. It's like well, maybe Charles did this on purpose, where it's like, oh, it's supposed to be sounding incomplete because that's what he was feeling at that time. He was feeling incomplete and looking for that next love and whatnot. And of course, there's an L Word 3, and then that could just have continued on to be the cliffhanger. Like, hey, when I do L Word 3, that might be when I find the completion that I'm looking for, or that person. Maybe not. It might be another cliffhanger. You never know.
But you guys let us know, man. How do you feel about the L Word 2, Love and Lust? Also for my wrestling fans, tell me which one is love and which one is lust. Is it Rhea Ripley or Liv Morgan?
Oh God. Um, I, I guess I'll answer that right now. Man, wow.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, because in my head I was going to say, oh, that's an easy one, but no, it's not. It's definitely because honestly, both are really lust.
Yeah,
Both are really lust.
yeah.
I guess if I had to pick one, I guess I'll say Rhea's love and Liv is lust because it's definitely how I look at it. Rhea's crazy. You know what I mean? Rhea is crazy as hell. But Liv, she gives me the girl next door type of thing, but not in the like, oh, it's like everyone knows like a girl that's like Liv Morgan, that's like she's fun to be around, but sometimes like you realize this might not be the girl I want to have a full future with. You know what I mean? Not saying that Rhea looks like the type of girl you would have a future with, but I feel like you can build more with her just because, the whole Day thing. She built that, she kind of helped build that group. She was, regardless if people want to say it or not, she was definitely the leader. You know what I mean?
Definitely,
Not Damien. Sorry, Damien. You know what I mean? Bisexual Undertaker. You know what I mean? As they
definitely
call him.
crazy that they called him that, by the way.
Nah, but that's someone you need in a relationship. Someone that's going to help build with you, not someone that's just going to come around, be there when the good times happen, and then when it all falls down, oh, I'm out. So I'll say Rhea is love, Liv is lust, and also live lust. But at the same time, you can do that with love too. But hey, I'm cool with both. You feel me? Both of them.
But hey, both of them. Yeah, no, Liv got lust for me when she said that you shouldn't be going around calling the girl mommy. You deserve a girl that calls you daddy. I was like, yep, you know what? I would have folded, boy, so fast. He's taking too many weeks to fold. I need you to be open about it. You folded, bro. It's okay. Nobody's mad at you. Listen. We believe in you, bro. I promise you. Eddie's looking down and being like, please, lie, cheat, and steal. Fool, what's wrong with you? But be sure to subscribe to StarCHaser Central on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, StarCH Central. You can also follow us on our individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54 on Instagram and Twitter, STIK around 54. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson. On Twitter, because I don't call it X, and I'm not calling my X either. No time for that. But Mike D Jackson, Mike D Jackson, 1D, 2 E's. Before I go into the normal spiel, if there is something you guys want to request for us, please, whether it's a episode idea, something for shorts, you know what I mean, something for us to post, let us know, you know what I mean, because it's one of those things where we want you guys to be engaged and involved as much as possible. We don't want to be in a standby thing like, well, we just got to watch and shut up and just, no, we're a community. So let's, keep it going. You feel me? Even, if there's compliments, any type of constructive criticism, you like to let us know, like, hey, I would like you guys to do more of this, or try some of this. Feel free to do it. Just be positive about it. Don't be disrespectful. You know what I mean? Just had to say that real quick. Back to the what we came to do now. So make sure you guys are following Charles Hamilton on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Make sure you are subscribed to him on YouTube at the talented Mr. Hamilton. And don't forget to make sure you're checking out his blog. Oh, also, if you guys don't know, on his YouTube, it's like every Friday, at least every week, he's on live. You know what I mean? So he'll be doing freestyles, making beats, whatever. So make sure you're checking him out on there. And if you're not in tune with the blog, make sure you are checking him out on his blog, enterthehamilton.blogspot.com. I think that's it.
Yeah, man. Like Mike said, man, just we love the engagement. We appreciate everybody's engaged with us, man. We like to spread the word of Charles Hamilton music, man. We like to celebrate his samples too, But shout out to Mike with the sample, Who the Charles Sample. It's a great series. You should definitely check it out. We like to make real good moves. We don't like to make questionable moves out here. So be sure to just, lock in with us, tell us what you want to hear, and we'll try to make it happen.
Agreed. Yes, sir. It's one of those things where, of course, we're not going to know every sample, not know every song, not know every project, but that's why we are here, and that's why you guys are here as well, because we're not the know-it-alls. We know a lot, but there's certain songs and tapes and projects y'all have put us on, and we hope we're doing the same for you guys. You know what I mean? We work better when we work together. All right.
Facts. Damn, I feel like that's what we should just end on. Like, but that was really good. I didn't even have to ask you to leave with the people or something, but that's good.
Works for me.
That's good. We are logging out of the StarCHaser Central, man, but we always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach for the stars.
Comment on your blog, comment on your blog, comment on your blog. I write a comment on your blog, comment on your blog, comment on your blog. I got so many things to say to you in so many different ways. It can't be face to face. So let me write a comment on your blog. Blaze the raw after the fade of